Om Mandra Sadhva Samaya Manu Palaya Bandra Sadhva Deno Pai Dildra Dedo Me Bav Sodo Kaya Me Bava Zubu Kaya Me Bava Anorado Me Bava Sarva Sede Me Praya Sarva Krama Suza Me Zedan Shreya Guru Ha 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 ho bhagavan sarvada gata bandrama me munza baranze bhava ma samaya satva.
All mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness. May they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in a state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. All mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness. May they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. All mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness. May they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. Thus, until I achieve Buddha, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, most excellent, I take refuge until Bodhi is reached. By the merit of generosity and other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood. For the sake of all wandering beings in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, most excellent, I take refuge until Bodhi is reached. By the merit of generosity and other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood. For the sake of all wandering beings in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, most excellent, I take refuge until Bodhi is reached. By the merit of generosity and other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood. For the sake of all wandering beings. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, Limitless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and aversion. Bajra samaja, bajra samaja, bajra samaja. Protectors of all sentient beings without exception, deities who vanquish the ruthless hordes of Maras, knowers of everything as it is, Bhagavans and your retinues, please come here. Aryam Padyam Pushpe Dupe Aloke Gende Nevede Shabda Pratija Soha. This ground sprinkled with scented waters and strewn with flowers, adorned with the supreme mountain, four continents, sun and moon, I hold in mind as a Buddha land and offer it. May all wandering beings experience such a pure realm. Whatever slight virtue that may have been gathered through prostrating, offering, confessing, rejoicing, requesting, and beseeching, I now dedicate to complete Bodhi. Please now go to the general laying aside text. We have not done that for a while, but please go to the general laying aside. And remembering that the Tibetan word that is often just simply translated as confession or confessing, the Tibetan consists of two words usually, tol shak. Tol is to expose, not exposing others, exposing our own patterns, our own habits, our own actions. Seeing that clearly, seeing how especially those unskillful actions, unskillful habits, unskillful patterns of behavior that we, throughout our lives, there's a pattern. We keep getting caught in it. We'll do well for a while, we get caught in it again. We'll do well for a while, we get caught in it again. These patterns are nothing new. If we're honest about it, we'll see a particular pattern. So we have to see even more clearly. What do we have to see about them? We have to see primarily the burdensome nature of those unhealthy, negative patterns, unskillful patterns of giving rise to suffering to ourselves, then by extension to people around us. So there's a particular pattern, that we have to see. Not see and then necessarily, although maybe sometimes it's helpful, but not necessarily, see and give rise to guilt, see and give rise to, but see and give rise to normally what we translate to as remorse, There is really to see. So this is the first of four powers, the power of resolve. To see and to really not look away, and feel the heaviness of that, the burdensome nature of that, and really give rise to fed upness. In English we say fed up, to give rise to fed upness. If a little bit of guilt is helpful, then you can spice it a little bit with guilt, but be careful with that, because many of you, with guilt comes, it suddenly becomes something else. Judgment, harshness. And then when we are judgmental and harsh towards ourselves, then likely we also become judgmental and harsh towards others. Especially if we see that pattern or that particular behavior reflected in others, and we, instead of becoming more understanding and sympathetic, and the way it works is usually we become very harsh. So really, this first power of remorse is the power of fed upness. You become fed up with it. You said, this is enough. This is it. Again and again, all my life now. How long have I lived? 34 years, 43 years, 56 years, 68 years, 72 years. This pattern keeps coming back and back and back. So we give rise to remorse. We see the burdensome nature of it. We see how heavy it is. We see how we habitually find ourselves carrying a big stone, and it's hurting us, and then it's hurting others. So we put it down, and that's the second part of Do Shak. Shak, Shakpa. We put it down. We say, this is enough. When we put it down, we still should not look away. When we put it down, especially, we should feel. Well, we should put it down with, as we say, awareness. And what's the purpose of putting it down with awareness? When you put it down with awareness, you can savor, you can taste. This is light. This is good. So savoring this lightness, savoring this, don't be so quick to want to become, beyond, all of this. No, it's a skillful enjoyment here, a skillful savoring. This is really light. Putting it down, being done with it. This is really good. What a relief. Oh, how easy it can be. All those. And don't be shy to really savor it. And then, of course, dedicate it and say, may all beings, may all others, including your future other, the tomorrow you, the next week you is an other of sorts, including the future you. May all others likewise be able to feel and savor and enjoy this kind of putting aside, this kind of letting go. Put it down. So this is To Shak, the laying aside. Then we lay aside. The second power is the power of refuge. In this case, all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas that we address, the great Guru, Vajra holder, we train in relation with them, looking to them as examples of Buddhahood achieved, as examples of those who have successfully put aside once and for all these unskillful patterns, actions, habits. So we look to them for guidance, we look to them for assistance, we look to them for help, knowing that they can. They have made these vows to benefit beings. We are invoking the power of their vows. And then the remedy is doing this meditation, doing this recitation. And that's the third power. And the fourth power is the power to remember not to get caught so easily the next time. The power of resolve. One way to achieve this kind of resolve is there is the relative aspect of this resolve, which is to say, I'm going to apply more carefulness, attentiveness to my day-to-day experience so that I get better and better at seeing how these negative habitual patterns, how they tend to turn up, how they tend to build up. Previously, I'm not so aware of it. I'm not so trained to see how it manifests. And now I am going to become better and better. So that's one power of resolve. Another power of resolve comes from understanding more the kind of essential nature of these patterns. And what are the essential nature? Understanding the essential nature to be empty of essence. Remembering the emptiness of the essence of these patterns, these behavior, is a powerful way to deflate. These patterns. And this is related to the ultimate aspect, recognizing their empty nature. In the moment of recognition of their empty nature, there is a sudden release. But then how long that can remain depends on how steady, our understanding of emptiness is. And of course, for most of us, immediately, all habits take over, become more powerful. But if you habituate this understanding of emptiness, lack of inherent existence of even these patterns, and then that power of remorse, resolve, becomes stronger and stronger by merely recollecting the emptiness of how the another way of speaking about this is the interdependent nature. Then you already have deflated this quite a bit. Maybe not completely, but quite a bit. Aryadeva says, the moment, I think it was Aryadeva, maybe Nagarjuna, the moment, you even suspect that samsara is not what it appears to be, that samsara is not as solid as you think it is, that confusion is not as fixed as you think it is. The moment you even give rise to a suspicion that this is the case, the dismantling of samsara has already happened. Now you just need to finish the job, so to say. Finish the job. Alas, great Guru Vajra holder, and all you Buddhas and Bodhisattvas who reside in the 10 directions, and 3 times I, who am called Kunju Yishi Dorje, supplicate you, turn your awakened attention to me. from beginningless samsaric time until this very moment, under the power of the afflictive emotions, attachment, aggression, confusion, pride, and jealousy, I have committed the 10 non-virtuous actions through the gates of my body, speech, and mind. I have committed the 5 heinous crimes and the 5 secondary heinous crimes. I have transgressed the individual liberation vows, transgressed the precepts of bodhisattvas, and transgressed the samayas of the great vehicle secret mantra. I have been faithless and disrespectful towards the 3 jewels. I have been faithless and disrespectful towards my gurus and teachers. I have been faithless and disrespectful towards my father and mother. I have been faithless and disrespectful towards my companions in the pure spiritual life. I have abandoned the sublime Dharma and disparaged the noble Sangha. In short, I now lay aside all faults and transgressions whatsoever that have become obstacles to the higher realms and to liberation, and that have become the cause for samsara and the lower realms. Before you, the great Guru Vajra holder, and all you Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions, and 3 times I expose the faults, I confess them, I am contrite, I regret them, I will not conceal them, I will not hide them. Henceforth I will restrain myself and abstain from them. If I do not expose and lay them aside, they will not be transformed. Therefore, by revealing and laying them aside, may they be cleared, may I be purified. Namo to the mandala of you, victorious Idam deities. I expose and confess the broken samayas of the Vajra exalted body. I expose and confess the broken samayas of the Padma exalted speech. I expose and confess the broken samayas of the perfect exalted mind. I expose and lay aside the broken root and branch samayas. I expose and lay aside transgressions committed knowingly. I expose and lay aside transgressions committed unknowingly. The 3 non-virtues of the body, the 4 non-virtues of speech, the 3 non-virtues of the mind. I confess each of the 10 non-virtues individually with faultless disciplined conduct, possessing completely pure disciplined conduct, and through the disciplined conduct that is free of arrogance, may the paramita of disciplined conduct be perfected. To glorious Vajrasattva I pay homage. Bhajra Sata Samaya Mandabalaya Bhajasata Tenopatito Dito Mebava Sutokaya Mebava Suboya Anurato Mebava Savasiri Mebava Jasavakama Sujame Jaram Jaram Guru Hong Hao Bhagavan Savataragata Pesama Majapajama Mahasamaya Sato Bhajra Sata Samaya Mandabalaya Bhajasata Tenopatito Dito Mebava Sutokaya Mebava Suboya Anurato Mebava Savasiri Bhajra Sata Samaya Mandabalaya Bhajasata Tenopatito Dito Mebava Sutokaya Mebava Suboya Anurato Mebava Savasiri Chidam Sriyam Guru Hong Hao Bhagavan Savantaragata Pesama Majapasama Mahasamaya Sato Bhajra Sato Tenopatita Dito Meva Sitokama Subukaya Mamandrata Meva Savasana Majasavakama Sujama Jaram Jaram Guru Hong Bhajra Sato Samaya Mandabalaya Bhagavata Tenopatita Dito Meva Sitokama Subukaya Mamandrata Meva Savasana Bhajra Sato Samaya Mandabalaya Bhagavata Tenopatita Dito Meva Sitokama Subukaya Mamandrata Meva Savasana Majasavakama Sujama Chiram Sriyam Guru Hong Hao Bhagavan Savataragata Pesama Majapasama Mahasamaya Sato Bhajra Samaya Mandabalaya Bhajra Sato Tenopatita Dito Meva Sitokama Subukaya Mamandrata Dito me mo sa dogay mo sa bukay mo andara do me mo sa bazin me mo sa bukay mo sa jamin jaram jaram guru o magan sa bandana kada pa sa anura do me mo sa bazin me mo sa bukay mo sa jamin jaram jaram guru o magan sa bandana kada pa sa mo jamin jaram mo sa maya sa do me sa maya mo dito me mo sa dogay me mo sa bukay mo andara do me mo sa bazin me sa bukay sa jamin Dito me mo sa dogay me mo sa bukay mo andara do me mo sa bazin me sa bukay mo sa jamin jaram jaram guru Basa da dera ba dera dera ba sa da ba sa bo ga mo na ro da ba sa ba. Bajara sa do sa ma ya ma no ba la ya ba za da dera ba dera dera me ba sa da ga me ba sa bo ga mo ma na ro da me ba sa ba dera me ba sa ba ga ma sa. Bajara sa do sa ma ya ma no ba la ya ba za da dera ba dera dera me ba sa da ga me ba sa bo ga mo ma na ro da me ba sa ba dera me ba sa ba ga ma sa ja me ja me ja ga ma ba. Bajara sa do sa ma ya ma no ba la ya ba za da dera ba dera dera me ba sa da ga me ba sa bo ga mo ma na ro da ba. Bajara do samaya mano balaya baza da dena bade da dena me baza da me baza bunga mo wana da baza. Bajara do samaya mano balaya baza da dena bade da dena me baza da me baza bunga mo. Anura do me baza baza de me baza sama kama su jame jidam zirang guru o maga baza baza da kada baza me baza baza mo maga baza da. De do me baza da me baza bunga mo andara da me baza baza de me baza sama kama su jame jidam. De do me baza da me baza bunga mo andara da me baza baza de me baza sama kama su jame jidam zirang guru o maga baza baza da kada. Anurado me bo sa ba se de me ba ja sa ma ka ma sun ja me ja me zang guru ha o ma ga sa ba de na ka da ba sa ma me ma ja ba se bo ma ha sa ma ya sa to a om ba zara sa to sa ma ya ma do ba la ya ba zara sa to de no ba de sh da de do me ma wa su do sho me ma wa su bo sho me ma wa na ra do me ba wa sa ma ha sa ma ya sa to a om ba zara sa to sa ma ya na no ba la ya ba da da ba de da Anurado me bo sa ba se de me ja sa ma ka ma su ja me ja me zang guru Basrama me munja basri bhava mahasamaya sato. Now, page 14 of the Mahamudra manual. So again, Kyoba Rinpoche said, if the steed of love and compassion does not run for the benefit of others, it will not be rewarded by gods or humans. Attend earnestly, therefore, to this foundational attitude. So then the author of this manual for the section on loving kindness tells us that there are 4 parts. Elsewhere, Kyoba Rinpoche speaks of like 7 parts. So there are various ways of helping us, pointing out the ways in which we can step by step cultivate this unbiased and limitless loving kindness. So here, loving kindness has 4 parts: the cause for generating loving kindness, the essence of loving kindness, as in, so what is this feeling? Then how to enhance it, and then when we have loving kindness, what can it do? What is its function? First, the cause. It arises from remembering the kindness of one's parents, abbots, teachers, and so on. And so these are sources of kindness in which we should develop gratitude towards parents, towards abbots. And so particularly, of course, this is speaking to monastics. Monastics have abbots, have their monastic preceptors that are training them. Teachers are more generally teachers of all kinds, people who have taught us. And you can say both spiritual and secular teachers, and so on. And among these, the kindness of one's parents is greatest. How great is their kindness? They have given food as vast as Mount Meru, clothed us in garments as plentiful as the southern clouds, and given milk as vast as the ocean. They have wiped all away, all that was wet, and moistened all that was dry. Remembering such kindness is the cause for generating the mind of loving kindness. And so, having said that, sometimes it's difficult to train with parents, but in a way, at the end of the day, that is still what we should train in. I think many of us, have kind of like this, when we hear about the kindness of parents, the kindness of teachers, sometimes, instead of recognizing the kindness, we immediately go in the mode of how they have not done enough for me. And how, in fact, they have done me wrong. But I think these teachings here are also saying, yes, those things may be true, but then at the same time, they have also done a lot for us. Do we recognize that or not? And I think when we begin to recognize that, then in a way you could say we begin to see the humanity that you are, that I am, that it's simultaneously possible. It's possible to simultaneously want to love so much, and also to, out of confusion, out of the poisons, also cause so much pain. So this is again another good lesson in, merely love and compassion is not enough. We have to keep working on clearing, on seeing better, seeing more clearly, seeing without fault. But if we can work with this, not so quickly step away and say, oh, very difficult to think of kindness of parents. I think of kindness of my cat, But essentially, it's like, what has the cat done for you? Maybe cat is easier, dog is easier because they are completely, if you think about it, helpless. You are in complete control of that relationship, So don't be so quick to say, oh, easier, I just think about my cat as very kind to me. My dog is very kind to me. My pet monkey is very kind to me. Easy to feel metta for them. So this is, be careful not to be exercising partiality. So those people around us that has been kind to us, our teachers, our preceptors, our parents, if you immediately think, oh, they did this thing wrong to me, they did that wrong to me, wrong to me, wrong to me, wrong to me, pause there and take a look, what is going on? What are our demands on them? And if we cannot, right, work with those who have been most closely bound to us, then the talk of freeing all beings from suffering is just empty talk, Yeah, so yes, of course, you can. Even Gilbert Rinpoche said, actually he says, if you have really a hard time, then temporarily switch to using another object to bring forth this feeling of gratitude, recognizing their kindness. But then he says, eventually you have to train with your parents. And then, in fact, he says, this is the sign of the degenerate age, when things are all upside down. He's not blaming you. He's just saying, this is a sign of how things are all upside down. The degenerate age. So second, the essence of loving kindness, as it is said, loving kindness arises upon seeing a cherished child. So here is saying, yes, very easily when you see a child, a little one, a little creatures, you can very easily feel this metta. And in another teaching that Kyoba Rinpoche gave, he said, and why? He says, because, these little ones, they have not yet manifested, their difficult sides. So then it's easy for us standing here to look at the little ones. And because we cannot so easily get in their heads, so to say, in other words, it's easier for us to project, oh, kitten, oh, monkey. I joke about how, I say, yeah, it's great. I go to Latin America, I teach there, I don't understand the language, I don't know what they think about me, it feels really good. They could be complaining, they could be, well, I don't know what they're saying, so. So it's easy, it just kind of like, oh, yes, everything is good, So, yes, loving kindness arises upon seeing a cherished child. That's where it can easily arise. But then, after it has easily arisen, then you take that to train with the circles of training. Second, the essence of loving kindness. As it is said, loving kindness arises upon seeing a cherished child. Thus, the essence of love is the inability to separate oneself with fervent affection from those who are greatly kind. So, your feeling towards that is you want to be close to them. You don't want to be separated from them. You like being. In other words, it's saying what is loving kindness? Loving kindness is when you develop a fondness for others, a fondness that makes you very comfortable, feel very at home around them. A fervent affection, an inability. You don't want to be separate from them because it's very comfortable around them. So you want to develop this feeling towards all. Third, the enhancement of loving kindness has two parts: cultivating loving kindness based on one's present mother and extending that to all sentient beings. First, as mentioned above, through remembering her kindness, single-mindedly cultivate loving kindness for your mother. By cultivating in this way again and again, a heartfelt love for your kind mother will arise. And so it says, at first it may not be heartfelt, but if you do it again and again and again, and then a heartfelt love for your kind mother will arise. You begin to focus more on their kindness. Not saying that you suppress your resentments you may have, but those resentments can be transformed. The lack that you have felt, oh, they didn't love me enough, can be transformed. So that only loving kindness arises. And in a way, if you can work through this, difficulty in a way, then it's a lot easier. And there's a saying, I don't know who came up with it, but there's some truth to it. They say, the only normal people are people you don't know very well. People are only uncomplicated if you don't know them very well. And because, you know those closest to you so well, they are all very complicated. And then, of course, we forget, and why are they so complicated? Because you are complicated. The less you are complicated, the more you're able to work through all your complications. That guarantee you, the less complicated they all will begin to feel, begin to seem. Because a lot of it is how complicated or not complicated someone else is depends on you. At the very least, like when you're able to clear and to purify, we say purify, to clear, right? Your own complications. Then one thing is, your complications aren't feeding their complications. Then it has already instantly become less complicated. You just don't engage. There's nothing for them to feed. And there are people, for sure, in our lives where they only are there because they love feeding on your complication. And when you don't produce that much complications anymore, they can't feed and maybe they will disappear. So be ready for that, they will disappear. Then maybe it's okay. But there are others who are around, not simply because you can feed their complications. They have complications and you have been feeding them. But they are around also for other reasons. And when you stop feeding their complications, for a while they may be a little disappointed. But they still stick around, you know. And then your relationship with them, their relationship with you begin to change. And you begin to feel, oh, this is really good. And that is when you can genuinely relate to each other from a place of kindness. We are here for such a short time. If you don't think otherwise, don't think like this, we are here for such a short time. If you don't think like that, study a little bit cosmology. Look out into the skies and, go do some stargazing. And then your significance is put into perspective. Your complications is put into perspective. This tiny little marble in the infinite universe, and inside and on this marble, all our little bubbles, that is like the biggest deal. Suddenly we get perspective when we become temporarily astronomers or cosmologists. I was listening to some BBC in the morning, featuring, a astronomist, how he became an astronomist, and what that does for him. This is someone who also had the experience of losing a child, a severely disabled child, but able to share with the child when the son was still alive, and enjoyment of the constellations up in the sky. And simultaneously, being able to see how meaningful it is if we can be good and kind and patient with each other, forgiving, and at the same time, how little we are in all of this. When drama wants to take over, that is when it's good to remember how little we are, how pointless to get into fights, how pointless to satisfy but I am right. And then how wonderful, in the very short time we have, we get to savor, we get to taste the taste of kindness. And the taste of compassion. And so here it says, next, extending this to all sentient beings, the loving kindness that arose for your present mother, expand it now further and further, cultivate it towards all sentient beings in the eastern direction. Out this way. If it does not arise for them, again cultivate loving kindness for your present mother. Go back to a tighter focus and then radiate. Then with the loving kindness that arose from your mother as before, radiate, cultivate with great intensity towards sentient beings in the eastern direction. Again, then cultivate that in the southern, western, north, southeast, southwest, northwest, northeast, above, below. Again, the loving kindness that arose from your For your mother, consider all sentient beings as vast as space before you. And cultivate by expanding that loving kindness to pervade them all. If it does not arise just by extending it, again cultivate loving kindness for your present mother exactly as before. So back and forth of tightening the focus to one person, radiating to all persons. If radiating to all persons feel a little too abstract, tighten it back to that one person. Again, radiate it out to all persons. And in this way, cultivate it towards all sentient beings as vast as space. As you breathe in, think that you are breathing in wellness, goodness, safety, kindness for yourself and for your mother. As you breathe out, you think that all the heaviness, all the stress, all the pains, all the entanglements, all the feelings of resentment, inadequacy, whatever it is, all these afflicted states of mind, states of the heart, is breathed out for yourself and for your mother. In that way, we become free from enmity, we become free from danger. We experience happiness for ourselves, for our mothers. As we breathe in, we breathe out, we dispel enmity and danger. Body and mind becoming bright and clear, nourished, to make it easier to further radiate loving kindness in this way. The other side of loving kindness is actually compassion. So even though we separate out these two, they are two sides of the same coin. For the definition of happiness, of loving kindness, is wishing all beings happiness and the causes of happiness. The definition of compassion is wishing all beings to be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. So in a way, they are two sides of the same coin, two sides of the same hand. And when this love and compassion becomes unbiased, becomes limitless, or the stronger they are, the more pervasive they are, then the more strongly they can give rise to the commitment to achieve Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings, for the sake of all beings, without exception. this vow or this commitment, this bodhicitta, is what arises then as the idam. To cultivate the idam is not to turn ourselves into statues or paintings. To cultivate idam is to train in manifesting all the Buddha qualities, appearing with all the Buddha qualities for the sake of beings. In this Mahamudra manual, the idam appears in the form of co-emergent Chakasamvara, which is Heruka and Vajavarahi, or Vajrayogini, arising as a pair, inseparable. One and yet two, two and yet one. One in essence, two in appearance, two in appearance, one in essence. Page 26. Om Shunyata Gyana Bhadra Swabhava Atma Kohang. Meditate that all phenomena are emptiness, free from the extremes of conceptual elaborations. Within that state of emptiness, your own mind arises in the form of the syllable Hong, from which light radiates. From Yam comes a mandala of wind, from Ram a mandala of fire, from Vam a mandala of water, from Lam a mandala of earth. Upon that from Sum comes Mount Meru, in nature the four precious substances. Upon that from Bam comes a multicolored lotus. Upon that from Hung comes a cross Vajra, set on the multicolored lotus. From the vowels comes a moon, and from the consonants comes a sun. In the center of that light radiates from the letter Hung, clearing the obscurations of all beings and transforming them into the host of deities of Chakasamvara. The light then gathers back and absorbs into the Hung, melting as bodhicitta. From this complete transformation, in a single instant you are Chakasamvara. His body is blue, dark blue, pure and luminous, like the color of a stainless sky. He has one face and three eyes, with fangs slightly bared. His left leg is bent and pressing on the left ear of Vajrabhairava, and his right leg is extended, pressing between the breasts of Rekalaratri. With his two hands holding a vajra and bell, he embraces the consort. His head is adorned with a cross vajra and a top knot of matted hair tied with silk ribbons, beautified with a wish-fulfilling jewel on the left side of his head. He is adorned with a crescent moon. His forehead is adorned with a garland of vajras and 5 dry scalps, a hanging garland of 50 fresh heads is strung on human intestines. He is adorned with the 6 mudras and wears a tiger skin skirt. He possesses the 9 dramatic sentiments: amorous, heroic, repulsive, humorous, wrathful, terrifying, compassionate, majestic, and peaceful. In his embrace is the consort Bhagavati, red in color with 1 face and 3 eyes. Her fangs fully bared, her hair is loose, she wears a crown of 5 dry skulls and a hanging garland of 50 bone ornaments and a girdle of bone ornaments. From below comes the tinkling sound of bells. With her 2 hands the right holds a 5-pronged vajra cutter, and the left holds a skull cup of blood with which she embraces and offers to the Lord. She is adorned with the 5 mudras and in inseparable union with the Lord. By the symbolic action of blazing rays of light from the Hung at his heart, the hosts of deities of the Chakkasamvara Mandala are invited from their natural abodes. Now we make the 16 offerings, which is on page 80. Om Bajra Bine Hong Hong Pe Om Bajra Bhamshe Hong Hong Pe Om Bajra Midange Hong Hong Pe Om Bajra Muraje Hong Hong Pe Om Bajra Hashe Hong Hong Pe Om Bajra Lashe Hong Hong Pe Om Bajra Gite Hong Hong Pe Om Bajra Nritye Hong Hong Pe Om Bajra Pushpe Hong Hong Pe Om Bajra Dupe Hong Hong Pe Om Bajra Dipe Hong Hong Pe Om Bajra Gande Hong Hong Pe Om Rupa Bajra Hong Hong Pe Om Rase Bajra Hong Hong Pe Om Sparashe Bajra Hong Hong Pe Om Dharma Dhatu Bajra Hong Hong Pe. Having made outer and inner offerings, recite Ta Hong Pam Ho, thereby hooking, drawing in, binding, and pleasing them, making them one taste. Bless your crown with Om, your throat with Ah, and your heart with Hum. Again from the Hong light radiates, inviting the 5 families with their retinues, having made inner offerings. Now go make the inner offerings, also the 16. Om Bajra Bine Hong Hong Pe Om Bajra Bamshe Hong Hong Pe Om Bajra Midange Hong Hong Pe Om Bajra Muraje Hong Hong Pe Om Bajra Hashe Hong Hong Pe Om Bajra Lashe Hong Hong Pe Om Bajra Gite Hong Hong Pe Om Bajra Nritye Hong Hong Pe Om Bajra Pushpe Hong Hong Pe Om Bajra Dupe Hong Hong Pe Om Bajra Dhipe Hong Hong Pe Om Bajra Gande Hong Hong Pe Om Rupa Bajra Hong Hong Pe Om Rase Bajra Hong Hong Pe Sparshe Bajra Hong Hong Pe. Dharma Dhatu Hong Bajra Hong Hong Pe. Back now to page 30. Having made inner offerings, pray, may all you Tathagatas bestow empowerment. Having prayed thus, they bestow empowerment with Sarva Tathagata Abhishekata Samaya Shriye Hum. Your entire body is filled with wisdom elixir. The excess liquid gathers firmly on top of your head, and Akshobhya seals your crown. Now recall the instructions of Gyalpa Rinpoche, that you bring focus to the home in your heart center, specifically now first with the male deity, the male aspect, and later it will be the female aspect. The male aspect in the center of his heart, of your heart, is the blue Hung syllable. Surrounding that is the syllables of the heart mantra of the male deity. Light radiates, forming circles that turn counterclockwise to the left, turning counterclockwise. And this, you could think of it as ropes of light. Make one turn around the Hung syllable in the center of your heart, white in color, one turn. Goes up, comes out your right nostril, spreads out into all of space in front, turning all beings into the mandala deities of Chakasambhara. In the mandala of Chakasambhara, there are thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of deities. You can think of it that way. And this light, when it comes out of your right nostril, kind of pervades all of space, turning all of this into the Pure Land of Chakasambhara. And all the beings in it into deities of this mandala. Then all these light gathers, and again, like one string, goes into your left nostril. It dissolves back into the Hung at your heart. And so this is the first part of this recitation. Om Hri Ha Ha Hung Hung Pe 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 Om Hri Ha Ha Hung. Re ho hum 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 re ho re ho re ho re ho Sometimes you may pause to further stabilize the clarity of yourself appearing in the form of co-emergent chakra both Lord Heruka and Lady Varahi. And then whenever ready, you can resume recitation with that visualization of light. When the recitation becomes, maybe you could say, takes away from the clarity of visualization, then you should stop, remembering that the recitation is secondary, right, as an assisting secondary factor and not the main practice. Om Hri Ha Ha Hong Hong Pe Om Hri Ha Ha Hong Hong. Om Hri Ha Ha Hong Hong Pe. Om Bajra Bharojaniye Hong Hong Pe. Om Bajra Bharojaniye Hong Hong Pe. Om Bajra Bharojaniye Hong Hong Pe. So first we mainly train with the male deities mantra, but then at the end we should do at least 3 times and the female deities heart mantra. And then likewise when we train in the female deity, we begin with at least 3 recitations of the male deities mantra, so that is complete. They are one in essence, 2 in appearance. Although appearing 2, they are a pair, 1 in essence. Om Bajra Sato Samaya Manupalaya Basa Sato Tenopadita Deda Mebawa Sutoka Mebawa Suboga Mebawa Nurato Mebawa Samasida Mebaja Samakama Sujamichinam Silam Guru. Ha ha ha, Bhagavan Savadana Gata Besamadu Japasima Mahasamaya Sato, Om Bajra Sato Samaya Manupalaya. Bajra Sato Tenopadita Deda Mebawa Sutoka Mebawa Suboga Mebawa Nurato Mebawa Samasida. Om Bajra Sato Samaya Manupalaya Bajra Sato Tenopadita Didameva Sudagama Subaka Sawasida Memberjan Sawakama Sujamijaram Siram Guru Hong Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Samatata Kata Pesama Mujamizibo Mahasamaya Sato. We do the Vajrasattva at the end to make amends for any kind of mistakes, any kind of errors, any lack of clarity, any distractions that arose with regards to the idam practice. So during this time, when you recite the Vajrasattva, you think that it make amends, it compensates, so that it's now clear. Okay, now let's do dedication on page 78. By the virtues collected in the 3 times by me and the entirety of samsara and nirvana, and by the innate root of virtues, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain the unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious Bodhi. Anju Sem Chu Rinpoche Ma Ge Ba Nam Ge Gyurche Ge Ba Nyam Pa Me Pa Ya Gong Ne Gong Du Bel Worm Shum. Just want to say that, If you don't already have something like a tablet or something like that, you may consider investing in one, because there are so many texts, and supplements and this and that. And when you print, you print out a lot of and then paper, and then it may not print right and this and that. So if you have a tablet, and also a phone, it's good, when you're outside, but after a while, this tiny phone. So think about, Christmas is coming up. Hint, hint to the people around you, if they want to give you something, a tablet of some sort is good. One that you can easily read PDFs. Yeah. Okay, bye bye, everyone.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you very much, Jay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Bye bye.
you.
Ta-ta.